Hey, let's talk about games. Hello guys, welcome back. Airsick Hydra here. Today's video we're going to be talking about Deathwing because the new content is due to be with us in December and we get some new juicy bits to play with. Now, what I'd like to do with this video is give you guys a little bit of a rundown as to how I really feel the game has been performing thus far, what it's done well, what it's done badly, and what this new patch is going to bring to the game, because I'd like to see a little bit of attention go back to it. I've had a lot of enjoyment out of the game, but that being said, I'm not fanboying this. I can see why it did come under fire and a little bit of negative press. So to start things off, in terms, what did this game do well? Well, in the Unreal Engine, they did a smashing job with animations, with enemies, with maps, with lighting, sound effects. Everything in this game actually feels remarkably well polished, which is quite a rare sight for a 40k game, and it has been aesthetically one of the best, perhaps, 40k atmospheric games there is. Now you're probably wondering, Hydra, if it's so great, why aren't we all playing it every day? Why haven't we heard more about this game? And you would be right to question me. Well, the reason being is twofold. There are two main areas which really sort of let the game down in early days. First of which, it had a bad launch, and you might say, well, that's just a launch, but the launch is really quite relevant to a game's success or decline. It really does anchor how a game performs, and unfortunately the game came out with loads of bugs, loads of crashes, some somewhat poor optimization as well. Now obviously that was dealt with some time later, however, it has left a little bit of a bad taste in the mouth for many players who simply haven't ever returned to the game, and kind of understandably so when you buy something and it just simply doesn't work. But that being said, the actual game itself currently still has a lacking area, and to really explain what it's lacking, it's important to appreciate what other games of the genre give. So I'd like to take us back to a little bit of a history lesson, back to Left 4 Dead here. Hopefully some of you guys have played the game, and if you haven't, you really need to pick it up for like £2.50. It costs nothing in a Steam sale now, but it is a great game to play with friends. Now what this game did first is it really brought out the first-person survival horror genre, and it really made it a much more cooperative and immersive experience by getting players to force to interact with each other on the maps due to these specialised enemy units. Now, this was perhaps nothing that unique, but the whole experience just came together in a really, really good way. Now, the evolution of the game from this, Vermintide was sort of the next title to pick up the mantle of this, and it basically copy-pasted the game, but it added in a loot system. Now, granted, it was far too grindy to begin with, and it took a fair bit of while before they got it about right, but now it's looking pretty crisp. As part of that, it seems to be the natural progression of these games that RPG elements are certainly what players want, and unfortunately that's where Deathwing has seemed to have let itself down. Not only does it miss out on the truly unique experiences with maps of having that one moment where everything goes wrong because the enemies spawn in just the worst combination possible. Those sorts of things don't really tend to happen within this game just because the enemies are all so familiar. You've got ones that stand there and shoot you, you've got ones that run towards you, you've got bigger ones that run towards you, and you've got even bigger ones that run towards you. But there's not that moment where you have to melee something at X amount of time. You've got 3 seconds to melee something off of your mate before he goes down. It's all much rather stop something getting near you so you don't get one shot. And you can argue that this is far more 40k, and it does make sense. You shouldn't really have loads of gene stealers wailing away on you. They should be tearing you to shreds. But that being said, the enemy specialists, or the specialised enemies, don't really seem to give the same sort of player satisfaction and immersion that they did within Left 4 Dead. But as well as that, we're also lacking any form of incentive to continue to play the game, which we're used to from Vermintide. And therefore many of us players put maybe 2, 3, 4 hours into the game, and then our attention span just bombed. There was nothing else to do. For me, I managed to scrape some enjoyment out of it by playing it on the hardest difficulty setting, friendly fire turned on, absolutely mandatory, and I'll tell you why. That was the only time I ever played this game when I really feel like I had to engage my brain a little bit. I couldn't just walk around a map swinging a hammer. Like, literally, if you play this game without friendly fire, you can just go around with a heavy weapon or thunder hammer swinging, and you will complete the game with relatively little brain energy involved. It is very, very simplistic, but turn on friendly fire, suddenly you have to communicate with your teammates, and I suddenly found myself having an enjoyable experience with friends. That being said, I would not like to do this on a high difficulty with friendly fire with strangers. That would just be a headache. And this is where the new expansion seems to be trying to pick up some lost ground. The latest expansion includes new items, not only just new items, but customizable weapons, customizable perks. And I don't just mean in terms of aesthetics. You can see here in the background footage that changing your scope changes the actual zoom optics, changing certain features changes your melee damage, your range damage, etc, etc. So not only now do you have a variety of classes to pick from, you have a variety of playstyles within those classes, and it may not be anything earth-shattering that we gain access to. We may not be able to truly customize a playstyle, we may just be able to sort of exacerbate strengths and weaknesses, but it's certainly a step in the right direction at least. We don't know what all of the features are that have been added, but it's something to definitely look forward to, and it has to be said that the aesthetics are still looking really good. The actual skins that are in this footage, they look sexy. It looks 40k, good job. But I do have one reservation with this, and that is that they are going for the currency experience. Basically play this game for 10 hours or whatever, and then you'll get access to item X. It is time invested for currency for X reward, which is fine, but I do somewhat feel that that might be a little bit less motivating than having an RNG reward. Now that being said, before anyone just throws down in the comments telling me I'm wrong, I appreciate some people hate RNG. I appreciate that is why some people hated Vermintide, because doing the same map again and again and again, never getting the item you wanted, is very demotivating. Me personally though, I quite like the random rewards, because if I know I've got to do 10 hours to get an item, for me those 10 hours are less enjoyable because I know when I'm getting the reward. That being said, it is just a personal preference of mine, and I appreciate they may well have made the sensible choice here, because yes, RNG does alienate a very large portion of the player base, but I think we can look forward to this and it will give some aspects of replayability. But I do have one actual concern with the content, and that is that I've already completed the game on the maximum difficulty, and this isn't to be big-headed at all. I've done everything. I've done the random missions. Yes, they are a really nice addition. They are good. I am so glad they're in. But what exactly are we getting these new items for? If I am in a game, I would typically be working towards getting new items to achieve a task I cannot currently do. Maybe I would just be doing this for the sake of customization. But hey, me personally, I do feel like unless they give us a new difficulty setting or some reason or incentive, something to use these items doing, fair be it some people will have fun just making a new character and playing through the existing content. But me personally, I really feel like I need something new to do with it. Yes, I've got a means of grinding and making a personalised character, but why am I doing it? That's something I hope they are trying to account for, and I really look forward to seeing their solution to this. But I have to say, good job to the developers, because since day one they have introduced some of the right ingredients to make this game a success. I may think that maybe it's a little bit too late for the game in some respects. Many people that have already bought it and given up on it may never return, but the console users where it's going to be released, I think those guys are going to have a smashing time. And if you're thinking about this game on console, the Enhanced Edition, if you've got friends to play with, I think you're going to have a great time. I'm not so sure on single player experience playing with, you may have to lower the difficulty a little bit, but I do think there will be hours of enjoyment to be had. Guys, I want to know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this game. What has been your experience thus far? And while I've got you here, I'm thinking of doing a Let's Play series of this. So let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see, well, not so much a Let's Play, more me just talking and analysing the game while doing some max level difficulty stuff with my clan. So let me know if you'd like to see that down in the comments below, and I'll make sure when the game comes out, we'll cover a little bit of footage. So guys, have yourself a great November. I'll be looking forward to seeing you Deathwing fans in December with more content. Take care, have a great week.